Good evening, everyone. The Red Bank Planning Board will come to order this 12th day of November. The time is 7:04 p.m. Notice this meeting is being held in accordance with the public laws of 1975, Chapter 231. An adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by a notice sent to the Asbury Park Press and the Two River Times, as well as being posted in the main lobby of this building and the municipal website. Can we have a roll call, please?
Mayor Portman, absent. Greg Fitzgerald, absent. Christina Bonatakis. Here. Dan Mancuso.
Here.
Lou Demento.
Here.
Margaret Boas. Here. Megan Massey, absent. Wilson Beebe, absent. Itzel Hernandez.
Here.
Fred Stone
Here.
and Brian Farnigan.
Here.
Thank you.
We have the administrative matters, which are the regular meeting minutes of September 10th. Does anyone have any additions or comments regarding the minutes? Seeing none, would someone like to make a motion to approve said minutes?
No.
So moved. Do we have a second?
Second.
Do we
All in
have a
favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. The enthusiasm tonight.
Yeah, great enthusiasm, everyone. Okay, we have one public hearing. We have the Historic Preservation Commission Design Guidelines presentation.
Stephen Smolin.
Stephen, good evening and welcome virtually to the board. Tell us about the plan. We've had it for several weeks. And I'll admit, I did not read every page. I read a little more than half of it. I like the pictures very much, but Stephen, it's all you.
Great. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for accommodating me over Zoom. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. I have a brief presentation just to share with you all on a very exciting project that the Historic Preservation Commission has been working on for the past couple months. It's the Historic Design Guidelines. This was a project funded by a grant by the New Jersey Historic Trust. And we kicked off this project way back in May. And over the course of the summer, I did research and was working with a subcommittee composed of members of the HPC, a representative of the River Center from the business community, and also Shauna was very instrumental in this project as well. And we've been developing iterative drafts. The HPC just 20 minutes ago accepted the copy that's in front of you, so they're comfortable advancing this further. And tomorrow evening, I'll be making a presentation predominantly to homeowners at the library on these design guidelines. That is the focus of this presentation tonight. There is another part to my project, which is architectural surveys, and those are building by building, historic and architectural descriptions, and that's confined to the Broad Street or Design Overlay District, and that's in progress and should be wrapped up by the end of the year. So the project started, of course, by going back to the master plan that you all adopted back in February of 2023. From that, we have the official map of the two locally designated historic districts, Broad Street and Washington Street. And the design guidelines were primarily written to respond to those two local districts, but of course are flexible to adapt if additional districts or sites are designated in the future. I also went back to the historic preservation plan element referenced in the master plan, and that's from back in 2009. So design guidelines do provide upfront guidance to property owners. They are not building code. They do advance the historic character of your two historic districts. They do that by prioritizing design considerations. They do not, design guidelines, regulate the density, location of development. That's your job. That's the planning board. And design guidelines also do not improve property maintenance. You have separate local ordinances that handle that. And also the HPC does not review anything on the inside of the building. So the design guidelines are only speaking to the exterior. Any questions so far? Okay. The guidelines are divided into 5 sections. There's an introductory section, which includes a basic map of the 2 locally designated historic districts. There's a more detailed map in the appendice with all the block and lot numbers shown. On page 8 of the introduction is a sort of flow chart for how development applications are reviewed, which ends up typically with an advisory report to the planning board, and then also the slightly different process for how a demolition permit would be obtained from the HPC. After that section is the design guidelines, and I just have a couple excerpts from those. So they start at the top of the building with roofs, materiality, so the preservation of the few remaining slate roofs or cedar shingle roofs is a priority, but then the guidelines are very flexible on allowing for composite materials that maybe look like slate, look like wood shingle to be used in historically appropriate places. So we're definitely not, with these design guidelines, pushing people back to how the building looked exactly in the 1800s. I think they're very realistic in that regard. Exterior cladding is also covered in the design guidelines. So again, this deals a lot with appropriate materiality for exterior cladding. There's examples throughout of appropriate exemplary projects in Red Bank and some that are not so appropriate. And there's a description as to why that is. Windows is covered. That's a major topic for the HPC. We're definitely not forcing everybody to use expensive, bespoke wood windows. In scenarios where people have wood windows, it would be great if they repaired them or considered replacing them with wood windows. However, there's always an opportunity with high quality composites that are available today to use that instead, provided that the profile dimensions and appearance are all compatible. The storefront section, so this deals with your Broad Street, Monmouth Street areas, was subject to a lot of discussion between the HPC and the River Center. I think we got to a really good place on this section, which is good because the HPC reviews a lot of storefronts. So I think this section will be very helpful to them. It's, I think, important here to flag that the HPC does encourage adaptive reuse of storefronts, and they're, again, not necessarily always pushing people back to how the storefront looked at the turn of the 20th century. There is an opportunity in many instances, especially where it's a newer, modernized storefront, to do something that's clearly modern, but appropriate and compatible with the context. The last 2 sections of the design guidelines are on additions, so people putting a side or rear yard addition on their house along Washington Street, for example, is covered in this section. There's diagrams of appropriate and inappropriate design solutions for different types of additions here. And then the last section is about new construction in the historic district and the importance of the use of high quality materials, a compatible design, and not necessarily ever mimicking historic features, which is typically considered to be inappropriate and also more often than not somewhat tacky. So I think I'm not sure if formal action is being taken tonight, but when eventually it is, I just want to point out that the New Jersey Municipal Land Use Law provides for HPCs to adopt design guidelines. So we're certainly following that. I think also this project is satisfying a lot of different goals of your recent master plan, including the preservation of the Red Bank's historic character, context-sensitive redevelopment. I think design standards, like I implemented as a volunteer on the Hoboken HPC, have really helped to streamline and increase the predictability of an HPC and how it reviews applications. And I think you'll see similar benefits in Red Bank. And I think also that the design guidelines advance numerous goals of the historic preservation plan element, which I think also referenced design guidelines being necessary in Red Bank going all the way back to like the 1980s or something. So this is a long-standing objective of the borough, and I think this project met that, which is great. So in summary, the design guidelines, I feel, and I hope you find as well, are consistent with the goals and objectives of your master plan and the historic preservation plan element. They preserve historic character, promote compatible design, and advance many other master plan objectives. And I think that is all I had. And if you had any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you. Does anyone from the board have any questions?
I do.
Shoot, right into the mic.
Well, I have to reach it and be able to turn it on. It's stuck.
That sounds like a you problem.
Now I'm,
Little befuddled.
I don't know whether never mind. Did I misunderstand what gentleman was saying when he was talking about demolition? That the HPC was going to be the ones in charge of deciding what could be demolished and what could not? That's what he said. His words were that something to the effect that the HPC, that demolition would have to be approved by HPC.
They are one of the entities that signs off on it. So it's if you look and Stephen, can you pull up the
Yeah,
the
I must have skimmed over.
order of the processes for applications? That slide there.
Yes.
So prior to a building being demolished, I know you can't really see it, but I can.
No, I can't.
So, first, it will go, the application will submit a development permit application for development, for demolition to, planning and zoning department. Then it will be sent to the Historic Preservation Commission as the first step. And then planning board has the last say on whether or not a building can be demolished.
Okay, thank you.
But that was also created within the historic preservation ordinance itself, that new update that was recently.
Does anyone from the public have any questions or comments regarding the report? This has not been sent to us by the mayor and council yet for formal action. So really, this is just an opportunity for everybody to review the plan. If you have any questions or comments, I thought it was incredibly well done. And I'm a big fan of it, providing I don't live in that district, which I don't. If no one else from the public or the board have any questions or comments, we're going to leave it at that until it's officially sent to us for review by the mayor and council, which I assume will be soon, I hope. And that's it, unless anyone else has any comments or questions. I told my wife I'd be home by 7:15, so I'm already late. We have a motion to adjourn. From anyone? Fred, thank you. Second. All in favor of going home?
Aye.
Thank you for coming, everyone.